Lights, camera,
Rolling.
action.
I feel the need for speed. Ow!
Wax on, right hand. Wax off, left hand. Wax on, wax off.
He taught me, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses.
Hi, I'm Joe, and this is the Filmjoe podcast, where film talk happens. Hi, I'm Joe,
And I'm Daisy.
and welcome to the podcast where we talk about films, filmmakers, trends, the good, the bad, and the not so bad, all in the spirit and for the love of film. So, folks, you are at the table. The dealer is shuffling the deck. The tensions rise as the dealer's eyes are glued to yours. That's right, folks. It's dealer's choice. All right, say hi to your dealer, Daisy.
Hello.
So, get ready, Daisy. Go ahead and shuffle.
All right, here goes.
And she's shuffling. Ooh, and she's shuffling again. All right. And 2 cards are dealt. All right. We got our 2 cards. All right. Wow. Okay. Because we didn't know about this ahead of time. We didn't know what the titles of these movies were until now. Right?
That's absolutely right.
Yeah, of course. Anyways. Yeah, because
Absolutely.
we just prepped right now as we saw these 2 titles, and they are The Neverending Story from 1984 and Legend from 1985. Ooh, great films. Really, really good. All right, Daisy. So why'd you choose these 2?
Well, as a kid growing up, I didn't watch many cartoons. What I watched were movies, and there was plenty of awesome kids movies out there. And these are 2 that are so near and dear to my heart. I've watched them like a gazillion times. So I'm really excited, to talk about these 2 films with you guys.
All righty. Yeah, there's some good ones. And it's funny, guys, these are, kids films, but Jesus, when we get into these are pretty fucking dark.
Oh yeah. Yeah, as a kid, I just, I saw flying dragon dog and
Right, and a devil with giant horns and all this stuff, but yeah, the subtext and this stuff and some of the themes are pretty heavy. I mean, just look at my very unfavorite film, Labyrinth,
Aw,
dude, that movie was a disaster. But I mean, the stuff they were
it was
dealing with.
not.
Oh God,
It was not a disaster.
So those of you who have not heard that episode, go back in the feed and check out that episode. We did Labyrinth, and I forgot what other film we did.
Oh, you want
But
more hate mail?
no, you know what? I'm gonna get email this people saying, you know what, Joe, you're right, and I'm gonna say,
Nah.
of course I'm right. Of
No.
course I'm right.
Oh God.
Oh God, but but nonetheless, yeah, a lot of these family type films or these fantasy films were really heavy duty in not only in story and thematic elements, but also in the subject matter and what was being said, kind of like deep down inside. So, already. So, but before we continue this, let's make everyone aware there will be spoilers. So if you haven't seen any of these films, you may want to just pause this, go to Netflix or your Redbox. Do they still have Redbox? I don't think so, huh?
I don't know. I mean, I never used it, so I think they still have it.
Yeah. Well, either way, track down the movie, watch them if you want, and then come back to the podcast. If not, just enter at your own risk.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
All righty. So what you been up to? I mean, I know Mom just flew back home from New York back over to California.
Yes, I'm a little brokenhearted. I'm, a little depressed. So I'm glad we're doing the podcast today. This always, lifts up my spirits. So I'm looking forward to talking about movies today.
Yeah, no, I know how that is. I know how that
Yes.
is. Um, that being said, I haven't been doing shit. I haven't watched the only two movies I watched this week were these two films, and but yeah, I haven't been up to much.
That's, relaxing,
Yeah,
Sometimes you just need to take a breather.
exactly. What do you say? We jump into this week's episode then.
Yes, absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. So it is time to dive into the fantastical. So with this first film, a boy who needs a friend finds a world that needs a hero in a land beyond imagination.
What is the secret of this enchanted book? What wonders are hidden within its pages? What magical spell does it cast on all who read it? What is the secret of the never-ending story?
But that's impossible!
You will enter a world where a young boy's imagination becomes a vivid reality. The world of Atreyu and Artax, the Rockbiter, and a good and kind gnome. A world that is vast and eternal, treacherous and dazzling, unforgettable and free.
A troubled boy dives into a wondrous fantasy world through the pages of a mysterious book. The film we are talking about here is The Neverending Story from 1984, directed by Wolfgang Petersen, who brought us such great films as Troy, Enemy Mine, Air Force One, The Perfect Storm. The film stars Noah Hathaway and Herman Weigel. So for this film, we will be rating this on the Filmjoe scale of 1 to 10 chapters.
Oh, come on, man.
What? You got something better?
Orins!
Who?
The Orins!
What the hell is an Orin?
Did you not watch the fucking movie?
I watched the movie. What's an Orin?
What the fuck did he have? That's the symbol that was on the book.
Oh, I thought it was just a talisman or something.
Oh, come on, man. Come on, dude. Oh, you disappoint me, my bro.
Oh,
Orin.
okay. So, all right. So we'll go with chapters.
Whatever.
Alrighty. So a little production backstory on this. The film is based on a 1979 novel called The Neverending Story by Michael Ende. Michael Andreas Helmuth Ende was a German writer of fantasy and children's fiction. He was initially happy, and he worked with Petersen as script advisor and was paid $50,000 for the rights for the book itself.
Wow.
Once it was done, Ende claimed that Petersen, he actually rewrote the entire script without consulting him. And so as he saw it, it really deviated from the original source material, and he was pissed. He was like, so he requested that either the production be stopped or they change the film's title.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah, like that's going to happen. So when the producers did neither, he sued them and he lost the case. And yeah, you kind of see how
that hurts. Oh, that really hurts.
Yeah. But I understand writers when they sell a property and they put their heart and soul into it and they sell it, to be, adapted into a film. They got to understand that sometimes it's going to be twisted. It's going to change. You're giving your vision into somebody else's hands and they are going to give their vision. Classic case in point, The Shining, Stephen King. You've read the book and you've seen the movie, right?
Yeah, I did both. There was a lot of differences, totally different tone to the movie, to be honest.
Yeah, it really is. So, and the way I see it is if you are a writer and you're selling a property to Hollywood or to a studio, writer beware. It may happen. I mean, you collecting a check. I'm not saying, hey, deal with it because, but hey, you got to kind of keep that in mind. You're collecting a check. You're giving your intellectual property to somebody to adapt.
But also, but you know what though? But I think that it should always also be respected as well.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. When the director and or producers don't give a shit about the original IP, and they'll sit there and go, well, you know what? Great story. It's about this guy who kills these people and he goes into outer space. That's all we need to know. Well, and they'll gloss over the nuances and the special elements that made the story so special.
Right.
And that's why you get shitty adaptations. But again, it is to be expected. And I love it when filmmakers really respect and love the original source material. Case in point, you have Misery, which was written by Stephen King, and which was directed by Rob Reiner. And he had a great respect and love for the original source material. And if you've seen the film, it is a Stephen King story.
Right.
Yeah. So, or, even you look at the first Spider-Man movie directed by Sam Raimi. It had that feel of the original story and character because he was a big fan of the original. So yeah, it all comes down to that. But, Hollywood can be a shady business.
Heartless, very heartless sometimes.
And very heartless, exactly, and full of ego. So, yeah, I mean, that's just the way it goes. So this film only covered the first half of the book. And, and so German producer Bernard Eichinger, I fucked that name up. He saw his kids reading the book and they urged him to make a film out of it. And that's how it came about. So the film finally was released in the US on July 20th, 1984.
Right.
Alrighty. So let's get some takes on this. You've seen this a million times.
Oh my God, I've seen it so many times. And it's, I think this is what got me into reading. I remember right after I finished watching this movie, I ran into my room and I had a little library of kids' books, and I kept on taking out books, hoping that I would somehow get immersed into it. I didn't quite grasp the concept of, what they were, going for. So I was like, oh my God, okay, I'm gonna jump in Little Red Riding Hood right now. And yeah, I was kind of disappointed, but nonetheless, I started reading, I got older, I was reading, and that's when I finally understood what they meant. When you read, you become these characters. Your imagination paints a beautiful scenery, a landscape. It puts you in the story. You know this story. You live this story. But yeah, in this movie, the kid is literally living the story. It's actually real.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I mean, it was kind of like the same experience that I had. It takes, you read the book or whatever, and you're sucked into this world. I mean, which is why I had so many Penthouse and Playboys, but they didn't work. But
TMI. Wow.
I mean, come on, I really want to meet Miss December.
Yeah, okay.
But you're right. I mean, it was inspirational, and I think that was the whole point. Regardless of how this film turned out, it definitely brings that message across. But there's so much in this that, I mean, I'd seen it several times before when it first came out, and later in years, and I thought it was an okay film. I really didn't think it was that special. Yeah,
Oh, no. It's special. I mean, you have this kid who's dealing with the loss of his mother, and he's dealing with that sadness inside him. He feels lost, he feels lonely. His father, barely pays attention to him. He does. He lacks confidence in himself, and on top of that, he's being fucking bullied.
yeah, and and it's funny how it mirrors what's going on in the book.
Exactly.
Because he is, like the loss of hope, and he still has that imagination and that will and desire to read. But what's really fascinating is that it does instill in you. The film is about the magical power of the imagination and the possibility that we possess is the most important thing. Gives us hope and the strength.
And dreams. It makes us dream.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting, I'm watching this, and I found, I did a little research, and Michael Ende is a German writer. He's from born and raised in Germany, and this film actually, essentially, because what happens is he gets sucked into this world, and this world it's a beautiful world of fantasy and hope and beauty, and just an amazing world. And it's slowly becoming engulfed by the nothing, which
Mhm.
which is this dark cloud that just engulfs everything beautiful.
Mhm.
And so it's like the nothing kind of represents it's this nihilism and despair that's engulfing us. And what I read into it, and I backed it up, I looked it up, basically, okay, that's kind of interesting, because this nihilism, this loss of hope, this dark cloud that just sucks everything away from who we are. It was fascism.
Mhm.
Okay. And so this creature, this dark thing, it's just engulfing everything, taking away all the hope. And, so this fascism is engulfing the land. And you have this dark wolf,
Mhm.
okay, that was helping the dark or the nothing take over,
Uh-huh.
represents Adolf Hitler,
Ooh, the Gmork.
the
Interesting.
Gomorrah. Yeah. And he was the bringer of this nihilistic, fascist nothing and this darkness. And the film is full of these little, the subtext of that. And, while like the child, like, the Empress, she
Mhm.
represents the very essence of hope and imagination and the power of belief.
Right.
And it's like, whoa, this is not a fucking kids movie. This is an analysis of fascist Nazi Germany in 1938.
And see, I did not even think to go there.
Yeah, I mean, look, Artex, the beautiful life.
Oh God, that was
Did you cry? I mean, again, I mean,
my
'cause-
God. You know what? I mean, and I've seen a lot of memes out there that say how traumatic our childhood was, because of movies like Bambi and the Neverending Story,
yeah,
and it's like, oh my God, every single time I'm like, okay, Artex, he's gonna get happy, he's gonna get out of the swamp of sadness, he's not gonna die, and he dies every single time.
yeah. And what
Oh God,
the hero? What was his name?
Atreyu.
Atreyu. Yeah, I mean, when Atreyu, I mean, it's so just gut wrenchingly sad,
Oh,
because Artax, he falls into the swamp, and it's called the swamp of sadness. And and that often that
oh.
it symbolizes when Artax, he succumbed,
Uh-huh.
with depression and a sense of utter futility in the face of like an impossible situation, that I don't know if we can do this. And
Mhm.
he gives up.
Yep.
And so him sinking into that was kind of like just what Europe did during the invasion of Nazi Germany. They tried, but they just couldn't do it. I mean, even the most loyal companion can be overcome by the negativity and give up that fight.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it was
Wow.
just so. I mean, fuck, even the turtle. Remember the turtle Morla?
Oh my God, Morla.
Yeah, and he's like, Atreyu. He's like, I need help. I need this. He's like, oh, whatever. It's
Like,
gonna get.
I
What?
don't care.
Yeah, and that represents the laziness and the lack of will and the death of desires that we have as adults.
Right.
That just, you know what? It's all fucked. We're done. You can't, it's the inevitable. And that was more, that was what he represented. Now keep in mind, you have the three primary characters here. You have the Empress,
Mhm.
you have Atreyu, and you have the one who's reading the book.
Right.
What do all three have in common?
The children?
They're children, and they represent the purity and the strength and that hope of a
Yeah.
child of the future.
Yeah.
And because you would think, okay, let's make Atreyu a big ass muscly warrior and so forth, and the Empress, a beautiful, like Angelina Jolie or whatever.
Yeah, no
No,
shit, huh?
they're all children, because they represent the purity and the hope and the imagination they hold. You think about it, freedom. Fantasia is about freedom, imagination, power, and
Mhm.
hope, quote unquote, books. While again, she represents the hope and the imagination, the power of belief. You give up on hope, you have no imagination, you have nothing, and
Yeah.
you are engulfed by the nothing. and you know, remember the rock monster?
Yeah. Oh my
He,
God. Yeah. He's like, they look like big, strong hands, don't they?
yes,
Oh,
and because in the beginning of the film, it's him, a little Oompa Loompa guy. I forgot his name, the character. He,
dude, it's okay. So it's the little guy with the racing snail, and I forgot what the other guy was called. He had a stupid bat.
right, and the stupid bat. And I'm like, oh, they're all going on a journey to the White Tower, for help. And
Uh
I'm
huh.
thinking, oh, we're going down the route of the Wizard of Oz here. We're going to
Or
get
Lord of the Rings.
or Lord of the Rings, exactly. It's a
Hmm.
journey film of a group and so forth. It's not, because
No.
they throw a fucking left hook at you, because towards the middle of the film, when you see the rock biter sitting there at the edge of the, like on the shoreline, and he
Hmm.
says, look at these hands.
Oh man.
Where are the bat? Because I was wondering, where's the bat? Where's the little character? Where's the snail? All these funny
Hmm.
characters that were introduced in the beginning. Oh, those are throwaway characters. No, they weren't throwaway characters. They were to make a point. They
Hmm.
represented his people, that he
Yeah.
would, and these governments that had this responsibility to protect them. Hence, look at these hands. Look how we're strong people. We can, and he couldn't do it. And what
Yeah.
does he do? He gives up, and
Yeah.
he lets the nothing take him.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was sad. That was really, really sad.
Yeah, I'm watching this. This can't be a fucking kids movie. I mean, but what really lined this movie up with? I mean, you had the sweetness and the cuteness of the characters and the puppets, and it's a fairy tale.
And yeah, and it's something a child can relate to on a different level. As you were able to relate to it as an adult, in that way.
Mhm.
Kids, they see it in a different way. I saw it as, yeah, a kid, who's lost hope and goes on this journey and finds the courage, to save a world, what I always found fascinating was, how the empress, she's like, oh yeah, he's been here all this time. You had
Oh,
to take him on the journey to, so that he could follow you here to get to this point. Just as he's reading this story, others are reading his. And I'm like, oh my God, that's me.
right, exactly. I mean, it's this whole relationship that you have with a character in a book. I mean,
Hmm.
like I said, all these things that I read into it, that I looked at. I mean, even down to like Falkor, the dragon, which symbolizes hope, friendship,
Oh,
and
yes.
I mean, it's got so many things. But for a child, it reaches a child as well on the most simplest way of reading is an adventure. It's amazing. It
Yeah.
takes you places, and so a child can get that from the film. They don't have to get the rest of this whole fascist Nazi Germany, metaphors and
I got,
stuff.
I got I got none of those fucking metaphors. I'm like, holy shit, man. What
Yeah,
the hell was I watching?
yeah, this is not the same film I watched 30 years ago. And
Serious.
so, but that's where I think this movie really succeeded, in that it's got something to tell us as adults,
Mhm.
also telling us as adults, don't lose that childlike hope and that imagination, and just don't lose that. And so it's telling us that, along with all this other really heavy duty shit. Um
Mhm.
and I'm sure there's more. If you dig deeper, there's so much more. I
Oh,
mean,
I'm sure there is.
yeah, my fucking head was spinning. I'm like, oh no, I gotta cut it out. I gotta get to the point. Um, but it is full of heavy themes. And again, it's obviously aimed at children. They get the message. We get a different message.
But it's
But
all in all, it's a great message.
yeah, and exactly. And it reaches the child, not only children, but it reaches the one in us all as well. And it
Mhm.
does make our imaginations kind of soar, like riding on Falcor. It's just a
Oh my god.
beautiful ride. It really is.
Yeah.
Now some of the FX, I mean, there was a lot of great FX work in this, really nice stuff. Some of it was quite a bit of it was kind of questionable, but you know what?
I
You
mean,
over,
look when it was done.
yeah, 84, and was it 84? Yeah,
Yeah.
84.
Mhm.
And but still, the film is not driven by the special effects. The film is
No.
driven by the story, and the visual
Mhm.
effects are there to accentuate the story, the story experience. It's kind of like playing video games, if you're sitting, with your controller and you got a first person shooter, yeah, you're
Mhm.
having a great time. But if you have VR on and you have an actual gun in your hand and you're walking on one of those fancy, VR treadmills,
Right. Oh,
it's
yeah,
a
it's more
different,
immersive. Yeah,
it's,
definitely.
it's more immersive, and I think that's what this film does with the story. It just takes you in, and of course, with the whole metaphor with reading and books,
Yeah.
it, you know,
It's beautiful. And the thing is that this is a movie that actually transcends, generations. I, showed this to my oldest daughter, and it's one of her favorite movies now. Luna, who's just 10 years old, she loves this movie.
mhm.
You know, it's yeah. I love how different generations still love this movie. I think that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, it's timeless, and
Yeah.
that's what makes a great film and a classic, and I have to say this is a classic, it really
Oh,
is.
absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, what do you say we get into the numbers now,
Okay.
box office and budgets.
Okay.
So the budget at the time of production was about $27 million, and that's a bit over 84 million today.
Wow.
And box office at the time, it made $100 million, and that's about $303.8 million in today's money. So
Wow.
yeah, so it did very, very, very well. And in reviews and scores, it received a lot of favorable reviews, and it was very positively received.
Mhm.
Roger Ebert of Siskel and Ebert, he gave the film 3 out of 4 stars and praised its visual effects, saying that an entirely new world has been created. And I don't
Mhm.
think he was just talking about the characters and the character design, but also the world of
Yeah.
imagination. And it's just it's really, really, really a damn good film, and it's one that children now and 30 years from now should be watching, because I think we are getting further and further from the era of actual reading physical books.
Which is sad because it is true because I myself have caught myself where I'm reading more ebooks than actual physical books, and I have to tell you, there's something beautiful about reading an actual physical book. The smell, the
Oh,
feel of it in your hand.
yeah, the pulp paper, the smell. The older it gets, it smells better than money. It really does.
Yeah, it does really. Yeah,
It's amazing. It does. Well, you know what? $100 bill does sound better, but
it sounds better, but a book smells better.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, IMDb is sitting at 7.3, Metascore 49, and Rotten Tomatoes critic score 84% with an audience score of 81.
Ooh.
Letterbox has this at 3.6 out of 5. So it was very, very, very well received.
Oh yeah, yeah, can I agree.
Yeah, and this needs to be on more streaming services because I couldn't find it anywhere. And now the version we saw, I think you saw the same version that I saw. It was the German version, by the way.
Mm, no, because I heard that the German version had different voiceover actors for the snail and the nighthog. That's the name
N-
of that dude, Nighthog.
no, well, this version has all the original, but when you see the book, it's called the Neverending Story. It's in German. I don't know if
Right.
you saw, and and also when he leaves him a note because he takes the book from the book guy. And he leaves him a note behind saying, "I'll bring this back, I promise." It's in German in this version.
You know what? Okay, because I saw my original copy. I found my
Ah,
original copy. That's what it
oh,
was.
okay. Well, in this one, yeah, it was a
Oh.
little different. I'm like, okay, that's good. And it doesn't have the song that we heard in the clip.
Oh no!
It-
See, you know what? I
it-
love that song. That's every
yeah,
time I hear that song, it gives me chills, and I love it.
yeah. It's not in the movie in the German
Okay, you
version.
know what? I'm gonna watch the version that you had given me. Yeah, I wanna check that out.
Yeah, check it out. It's a trip. I mean, it doesn't. There's nothing taken away from the movie because the movie stands on its
It's
own.
just added scenes. Scenes were taken from our version.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
check that out. I have to.
Yeah.
I've heard about it.
All right, so let's give our ratings. You go first.
Okay, so this movie, like I said, is near and dear to my heart. Got me to read. It blew up my imagination. Just such a beautiful movie. I'm gonna give it 9.5 chapters.
All right. Decent score, decent score. Yeah, it was just an enchanting, fun film. Definitely fun, very heartfelt,
Oh,
and still questionable on the thing. This is a kids movie because some of the stuff in there was pretty gnarly, but a damn good film. I'm gonna give this 8.5 out of 10 chapters.
okay, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, it definitely. If folks, if you haven't seen this, look it up somewhere. It's definitely worth the watch, especially if you're a fan of '80s fantasy. It's a classic.
Oh, it really is. It really is.
Alrighty. So sequels and spin-offs. There was two sequels actually. One in 1991, called The Neverending Story 2, The Next Chapter, and The Neverending Story 3 in 1996. They did not do well at all. I saw the second one and it was dog shit.
Oh, it was utter dog shit. I was so pissed.
Yeah, that I didn't even bother watching the next one. It was bad. We're not even gonna talk about it.
Yeah, no,
Now,
not to mention they took out little Noah Hathaway, which when I was a kid, I had a huge crush on him.
okay.
I had a crush on him. I remember him from Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, little boxy. So yeah, so when they took him out, I'm like, nope, it's caca.
Yeah. Yeah. So now the Neverending Story, there was a remake announced in the works in March of 2024.
Yeah, I know they
And
kept on threatening with that.
yeah, so basically that it will be a reboot of the original film, and they want to build it into a multi-film franchise. So I'm not too sure how I feel about it.
I,
Um,
I'm not. You know what? I mean, I'm just afraid that they're not going to do it justice. You know what? If they were to go by the original book,
right.
and I would probably be inclined to watching it because that would be a totally different story from what I heard.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll just have to see. I mean, right now it's still in development.
Ugh,
So we'll see where that lands.
mm.
In but I'm a purist. I like practical effects, and
Yeah, me
you know,
too.
they're gonna CGI the shit out of it.
No, and you know what? You can't recreate Falcor. They're probably going to change the shit out of Falcor, and I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah. Oh, they'll definitely do that. Absolutely. All
Hmm.
righty. So let's jump into our next one.
Okay.
All right. She is the purest innocence. He is pure evil. He is darkness.
Do you think you can upset the order of the universe and not pay the price?
Forgive me. We must get the Alicorn back. We must find a champion.
You do.
This girl distracts me. Beneath the skin, we are already one.
I want to kill the unicorn.
A young man must stop the Lord of Darkness from destroying daylight and marrying the woman he loves. The film we are talking about here is Legend from 1985, and it is directed by Ridley Scott, who gave us some amazing films such as Thelma and Louise, Alien, and Gladiator, and just so many amazing films. The film stars Tom Cruise, Mia Sara, who was my girlfriend when I first saw this movie in 1985, and Tim Curry. All righty. For this next film, we will be rating this on the Filmjoe scale of 1 to 10.
Unicorn
Unicorns.
horn. Ah, okay.
Yes.
I was gonna go with unicorn horns, but you know what? I will take it.
Yeah. Unicorns, you can't go in any other direction. So basically, yeah, the film is about is this beautiful fantasy land and forest, medieval time kind of feel to it that's populated with trolls and elves and fairies and unicorns, and it's a beautiful world. And so, what keeps the balance of light and darkness are two unicorns that live in the forest. And darkness, which is played by Tim Curry,
Mhm.
we got to get back to this guy,
Oh,
Tim Curry.
amazing.
Yes, and so in order to take over this world, he must kill the unicorn, which he thinks initially is one. And so they kill one unicorn, and it's fucking heartbreaking.
But the only way that he can get to this unicorn is because he can't get near these things. The only thing that could get close to these unicorns is somebody that's pure of heart.
Right. And hence comes in Princess Lily, played by Mia Sara, and she represents that. And
her and Jack.
And Jack.
Yeah, Tom Cruise.
Yeah, and so when they finally kill one of the unicorns, it's pretty fucked up.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, little production backstory. Ridley Scott, he envisioned for Legend, kind of like a Disney style of animation. And he even offered the project over to Disney, but they were kind of intimidated by the dark tone of the film. They was, at that time, they were still 100% focused on family friendly material. So obviously they passed. And so Scott went on and he consulted FX expert Richard Edlund from Industrial Light and Magic Lucasfilm, because the director, he didn't want to limit the character roles to a number of smaller people who could act.
Right.
So he wanted to open this up. And so Edlund he also considered shooting this on 70 millimeter, taking a negative, yada, yada, all this. They wanted to go big with this thing. So finally, Legends would be financed and distributed by Universal Studios in North America and by 20th Century Fox in all other territories. So we have two different studios, distributing this film, one just domestically, one internationally. That comes into play with something I'll mention in a little bit. So they built the sets and so forth, and then now they needed special makeup effects. So they contacted the master himself, one of the masters, Rob Bottin, who gave us stuff like The Howling, Blade Runner, The Thing. The guy he's just an amazing FX makeup artist, one of the best legendary people. And so he took it. He read the script. Initially, he couldn't do it because he was working on The Thing. But later on, when he became available and Legend had not yet gone production, he read the script and he was blown away. And he saw this as, and get this, and I understand what he's saying. He saw this as an excellent opportunity to create characters in actual roles. Because you look at it, what characters did he create in The Thing? He really didn't.
Exactly.
The Howling, they were monsters and werewolves, generic. Well, not generic, but they were not actual characters.
Right.
Here he got to create actual characters, and this really enticed him towards the project. And wow, the work he did on this, we're going to talk about that in a bit. So at the time of release, they released in the US and in Europe. Europe released it as was. The original soundtrack, which is the version I saw. Yeah. But you know what? The soundtrack is by Jerry Goldsmith, who gave us some amazing stuff like Star Trek The Motion Picture, Poltergeist.
Right.
I mean, he's only second to the legendary John Williams.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so in Europe, I mean, they are the birthplace of the Grimm's tale. And so they didn't mind the dark edge. They loved the original score, and they kept it as such. Right. Here in the US, we like to sugarcoat stuff. Okay,
you know what? Okay. See, this is the part where I'm like, sugarcoat.
Yeah.
No.
They saw how fucking dark this movie was, okay, as is. And they're like, well, I mean, you got dying white horses, you got torture sequences.
They needed balance, hence the movie's theme,
Well, that's what they said. They're like, well, let's throw in some Tangerine Dream, which is like what would you call it? New age kind of synth soundtrack.
It's very synthy, yeah.
Yeah, and ironically, Tangerine Dream, they did the soundtrack for a film that Tom Cruise was in prior to this, which was Risky Business.
That is crazy.
And that's a great film.
Yeah.
And that worked because the music's kind of surrealistic and mystical and kind of dreamy and weird. And that fit for the movie because it worked for that. It helped accentuate, give it a different feel and a tone to it. But this is a fantasy.
I am going to disagree with you. Hardcore. Okay, now in all respects, Jerry, I did not like that version. It was, it was, it turned it. And it's amazing how a movie score really determines the feel of the movie. I mean, it is so freaking important. I can't stress how important it is.
I agree.
Okay, because when I saw that version, okay, when I saw Jerry's version, it was darker, it was scarier, it was
Yes, it
okay,
was. It was.
okay,
It was epic.
okay. Now you have the US version with Tangerine Dreams.
Sugar coated.
Okay, bullshit. Okay, you see Lily running, through the forest, and she's as graceful as can be. She's as graceful as the wind, and the music itself complemented it. And it encompassed perfectly what her world was, which was sunshine, and and in love and beauty,
Corny.
whatever. The movie, it's a fucking fantasy, dude. A
Yeah.
fucking fantasy. Okay. And then you have darkness, where his realm, and it's nothing but it's literally darkness. But you know what? You still feel the sense of dread, the depressing feeling of it.
Right.
You still get that.
Mm.
And to me, I think it's a wonderful balance. And for what the movie is, it is a fantasy movie. The
Okay.
music makes it feel like a fantasy,
Okay.
as opposed to being a fucking scary ass movie, which
The
I
movie.
was scared.
The movie's scared no matter what. You can turn off the volume and it's fucking scary.
Well, and yeah, well, like I said, the music has everything to do with it, and like I said, the movie is about light and darkness.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you
Okay,
a question. I'm gonna ask you a question.
all right.
Star Wars. John Williams or Tangerine Dream?
Oh, come on, dude.
No, it's the same shit.
No, it's not. It's a fucking sci-fi movie. Pan flutes do not belong in Star Wars.
But they belonged in the Neverending Story.
Well,
You got that epic music in Neverending Story.
you get
You,
that
you got pan
fancy.
flutes. You got pan
Yeah.
flutes. You got fairies and all that shit.
Why? Because it's a fucking fantasy.
And it's epic, right?
Yes.
Epic music.
Yes.
Not synth.
No, this was beautiful. This
Oh
was
no.
no. You know what? I wish that my daughter was here with me, to double team on you. It was beautiful. Like I said, when the scenes where they're laying together and the sunlight is hitting Tom Cruise's face, which was actually beautiful. Um, I mean, the music, it fits perfectly. And then when when the snow comes, and the shit hits the fan, you do feel that darkness. Like I said, this movie is about balance, and there was balance with that music. And in that Jerry Goldsmith movie, which you know what, I love his music. I think he's a genius, but it gave it a very creepy tone from beginning to end.
It gave it an epic fantasy
No, 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 no,
adventure
creepy,
feel. No.
creepy. It was fucking creepy.
Oh no. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think again, it just felt sugar coated and watered down. I mean, I like Tangerine Dream. I like that synth stuff. You know what? This other movie, I'm gonna give another example that had a different soundtrack, but if you threw Tangerine Dream in it, it would work too.
What
You know what movie?
genre? What genre? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sci-fi fantasy.
Okay.
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 Flash Gordon.
Yeah, that would have been fine.
Yeah. See, it works there. Doesn't work here.
No, it worked perfectly here. I mean,
But
it goes perfect with, the unicorns. Oh my God. That gorgeous scene when the unicorns are coming, running towards, it's that, what's her name? Mia Sarah, Lily and
mhm.
Jack. Oh my God. The music that's playing, it's so beautiful. Oh God.
I couldn't stand it. I tried. I mean, you know what? Okay, it wasn't horrible per se, but it just to
Mhm.
me, you know what a perfect example of that is? Lady Hawk.
That music sucked.
Oh well, yeah, it's the same fucking music.
Nah, dude. You know
It-
what?
it-
No,
it's
you know what?
Tangerine Dream. In
No.
fact, if I look it up, I bet you it's also Tangerine Dream.
No,
It's
but
the
you know
same
what, though?
shit.
Well, they should have reused the same fucking soundtrack, because it would have worked just fine.
Oh no, it was horrible. It was
No,
horrible.
no. That's no comparison. I didn't like the music too much. I didn't like it at all. It
You,
did not fit.
you know what would have worked better? Jerry Goldsmith.
You know what? In Lady Hawk, it would have been an upgrade, and I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have made it fucking creepy.
That movie was
That's
kind of creepy.
No, it was not creepy.
It was creepy. It was weird.
You're weird. It was a beautiful fucking love story. Dude.
That I give it that, but I think that movie could have been uplifted with a better score, like this one here. And
you know what? I would love to do an edit with the music from Legend and throw it into Lady Hawk.
Okay, let's do this. Let's do this.
Oh,
Okay,
it would have been awesome.
in post, I'm going to take care of this. Let's take a moment of silence, and I'm going to play for you both versions of the soundtrack. Okay, and we'll let you guys be the judge. Okay, so here.
No, you know what? No. They need to watch the two versions.
You know what?
They can't just watch the movie.
Okay, YouTube it. YouTube American version and European, and then you be the judge. And if you want, email us and let us know. Right?
Please, because oh my god, I wish oh no. I wish I had backup right now.
Now, all right. So let's get. So
I wish Liz was here with me. I know she would agree with me.
You know what? She would. She would just to spite me. There you go. If you're listening, Liz, and I'm sure you are, we say that with a lot of love. Okay. Now let's get into our takes. Oh, by the way, and the film was finally released. We kind of digressed. On April 18th, 1985.
That's my birthday.
It was released on your birthday. Alrighty. So let's get our takes. So first of all, I want to mention one thing. Rob Bottin. Now you have some amazing, special effects makeup people. You have Rob Bottin, Tom Savini, Dick Smith, all these greats, and there's so many more that they were rock stars in the 80s behind the camera. Mm-hmm. And again, Bottin is one of these. His work is so fucking good in this film that he had no problem with Ridley Scott saying, okay, you're going to have a shot of your creature. We're going to do a tight close-up. Mm-hmm. And I know Bottin had no problem with that. Why? Because up close, in personal, on tight close-ups, his special effects were just amazing. They were incredible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you talk about, the whole thing of, there was a quote that actually Sean O'Connor, when he was on our show once, on one episode, he brought out this quote that he heard somewhere, which was CGI looks real but feels fake, and practical looks fake but feels real.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in this case, and it looked real and it felt real. It was so organic. There was like 2 or 3. Remember the swamp witch?
Oh my god! Yeah, I forgot that chick's name, but she was scary. She was crazy. That shit that was awesome.
It was amazing. And very Meg Mucklebones.
There you go.
Yeah, she was the marsh witch, and she was amazing. It was up close, and I don't know what to say. It was just incredible. Even the opening scene when the troll is summoned by the Prince of Darkness.
Oh god, yes.
And he gives him his mission. The camera is really up close. Mm-hmm. on the troll, and super close. You can see texture, and
he looks gross.
Yeah, it's just amazing, and you don't see the metaphorical zipper. You buy into it.
Mm-hmm. And and then Darkness himself. What an amazing fucking character!
Oh, geez, Tim Curry. He plays the Prince of Darkness, and he is like super cut. Buffed out. He has these giant horns coming out of his head, this imposing chin, and you look at it and you go, I don't see Tim Curry, and that's the point. He brings out, and it wasn't just the makeup, which to me, the design on that is, people, real quick, if you want to pause, go to Google Images and Google image, demon or devil from Legend 1986.
Darkness. Look up Darkness.
Darkness. From the movie Legend. It's just so incredible and amazing. He had this huge headgear with these giant horns that looked like a bull. It's just incredible. And you know what? And my hat's off to Ridley Scott. This was I think that character design has to be the magnum opus of Rob Bottin's work in this film, and
Mhm.
he doesn't give it to us until about an hour and 20 minutes into the film.
Yeah,
You,
and he's
yeah,
imposing I mean, you have the costume, but without the charisma and the edge of that Tim Curry brought out into this character. It's just he's amazing. Okay, so uh, he's the devil. He's darkness. He's evil, okay? But this character, he's so charismatic, so
oh yeah.
alluring, so tempting. Yeah, I mean
Mhm.
he's hideous, but he's so tempting and so alluring, and this is beautiful scene. I think it's probably one of my favorite scenes that I would love to have it in a framed photo. And it's of him, Mia Sarah, she's on the ground, she just passed out, and he kind of like kneels, and as he kneels, his cloak gets blown back.
Oh yes, incredible
Oh,
shot,
dude,
incredible.
it
Yeah,
was
and
amazing.
you know, you can just go, wow, that scene had an amazing practical makeup creature effect. No, it had an amazing creature makeup effect. It had an amazing had amazing camera work. It had amazing cinematography. The
Mhm.
acting. Tim Curry is under like 20 pounds of makeup, and he's able to reach out beyond that and make this character come alive and be imposing and scary as fuck
And seductive.
and seductive. Yeah, because you often hear, biblically that, that the
Mhm.
devil is very seductive and very smooth.
And
And
he definitely was, and what I loved about that is that one moment he's being, kind of nice, like, have a drink, have a seat, talk with me. That's all I want. And as soon as she defies him, you see the animal and the
yeah,
evil rage out of him. And it's like, holy
oh yeah.
shit.
And you know what? In that same sequence, when he appears, it's just amazing. You got the classic or dark version of Beauty and the Beast because
Yeah.
Mia Sarah throughout the whole film, she fucking glows. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with her, she was also in a very popular film that you may have seen called Ferris Bueller's Day Off. She plays his girlfriend,
Yep. Hmm.
and here she plays the quintessential princess
Hmm.
in a film. She glows with such beauty and purity,
And grace.
and grace, and her accent. I mean, she was just fantastic. Now, I can't say as much for Tom Cruise. He was a bit stiff,
He
bit
was a
weird.
bit stiff. I mean, as great of an actor as he is, I mean, I adore him. I felt like he was kind of out of his element.
Yeah, I mean, he was still in the infancy of his acting career. I mean,
Yeah,
he had just,
exactly. I mean,
yeah,
he did great. I mean, regardless, I think he did great. But yeah, he was still, he was still baby Cruz.
yeah, yeah. So he wasn't too convincing for me. But Mia Sarah and Tim Curry were the backbone of this film. Well, along with the cinematography and the Jerry Goldsmith music score.
Surgery
Um,
dreams.
whatever. But I mean, it was just amazing. It was very Disney like. I mean, like we said earlier, they had taken this to Disney, and they're like, yeah, but no.
They
Uh,
do have a female version of him in Disney.
really?
Maleficent.
Oh, that's right. Well, that's the thing is that Disney said no, and this was in the 80s when Disney was in, financial, turmoil. They were still focused on that stuff. But you know what? This movie was not that far off from Cinderella or Snow White.
Exactly.
It was just as dark.
Mhm.
I mean, not like I said, not the new garbage. We're talking about the stuff from the 40s and the 50s.
Yeah, exactly. The classic stuff.
Yeah, I mean the movie. I mean it is fucking dark. I mean the hunting down the unicorn. That whole sequence
Oh
when they're
my god.
killing it.
So
Um,
heartbreaking. No, and how do you love well, I love it. How did you like the her transformation?
oh, that was amazing.
Oh,
I mean that was a mixture of, like I said just a little while ago, the camera work, the camera angles, the editing, the acting, the
the music.
music,
Yeah.
the set design. I mean, in that sequence, and it's basically her transformation Walt's transformation into darkness.
Hmm.
And it's just a classic example of cinema when all the elements, creative elements, come together in perfect unison. And that's what happened in this sequence. I wish the rest of the movie was more like that, because I mean, I do have issues with the film, but to me, that was one of the best sequences in the film.
My favorite.
Yeah, definitely. And, and the film does kind of explore some deep, they have some interesting themes. You got temptation,
Mhm.
lust,
Yeah.
the temptation between of both sexes, Lily's transformation from the ethereal beauty to the bride of the devil, explores the female self as being a power power of creation, because
Mhm.
that's why she is the crux of the whole the whole film, because
Right.
she's the female representing the power of creation.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you even get some biblical stuff in there, because what makes everything go tits up in this film is where the unicorn will represent the balance of light and dark. You're not supposed to be fucking with them. She goes and fucks with the horses because that's all by design of the dark one, right?
Right.
And to lure the horses to her so they can kill him and whatever. So she's tempted by this, kind of like Eve in the Garden of Eden,
Right.
and
Exactly.
how
Yeah.
she,
Yeah.
she,
Definitely.
she brings it all down. So they kind of do a little bit of that, and which is pretty heavy.
Yeah. Overall, just a beautiful, visually pleasing movie.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. I mean, the film is kind of weird, overall. It doesn't quite have the same, I don't know. It doesn't quite have heart and emotions, that run through. I mean, it's in spurts. You get your moments here and there
But
of,
that's because you watched the Jerry Goldsmith version.
oh, shut up.
No bullshit. I got all of that from my version.
Your version, I would probably thrown up with the score.
Whatever.
But the film visually it's more visual. It's a visual marvel,
Mhm.
cinematography. I mean, Ridley Scott, he has you devour eye candy with your eyeballs throughout this whole film. I mean,
Mhm.
you can freeze frame almost any aspect of this film, and you got yourself a frame picture.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, but overall I did enjoy it. It did get a little dark. I mean, there's a scene in there where they get captured, and they're in the dungeon and they
Mhm.
escape and they're running, and you see somebody in the background getting hammered with a sledgehammer
Yep.
on a torture table, and you see his body flipping up every time he hits him. Uh, and I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, let's watch a family movie. Yeah, but those are the dark places that Disney just wouldn't go. So
Yeah,
that's
and these were the fucking movies that I was raised on, no less.
yeah, and
Like, because we didn't have Disney Channel back in the days. Seldom did I get to. You know what? I didn't get to watch a lot of the classes like Pinocchio, Bambi, Snow White. Until I was way older, and VHS, was a huge thing, and the movies
mm,
started being released. Up until that point, I watched non Disney movies, and these were it. And in my opinion, way superior.
no, absolutely. I think the '80s, and we'll get into that in a little bit.
Mhm.
Had its offerings of alternative, quote unquote, children's movies.
Right.
Um, but if anything, if you are a fan of incredible, fantastic practical makeup effects and creature effects,
Mhm.
this is an absolute must. It's a must. I mean, it does fall short in a lot of ways. To me, it didn't have the emotional impact that it should have. Um, and Tom Cruise was a hard sell for me. But one thing I did like, and here's a little contemporary spin that they threw in there.
Mhm.
Um, how does she battle the demon? Because the demon, he captures her and he brings her because he wants to marry her and fuck her. I don't know what the fuck that
Blech.
happened.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
gross.
yeah, and so that was kind of weird, but I mean, not as bad as Labyrinth because that was just horrible.
That was not horrible.
Oh God, oh no. So, anyways, so
Ugh.
he has this huge feast for her, and this is the part where she's already transformed into this dark princess, and just that amazing scene we described earlier.
Mhm.
And so, what weapon does she use to battle him? I mean, she can't fight this guy, right? No.
Right, no.
So here's her weapon: being a woman.
Oh, she slaps him, doesn't she?
No, I'm gonna.
I don't
You know,
remember.
I hope I don't get accused for being sexist here, but okay, here we go, right? He's like, please sit. No. Okay. Stand. I will. Okay. Eat. I'm not hungry. Lying. I'm not hungry. Okay. And his patients are getting lost. And then finally she's like, you know what? I think I'll sit down. He's like, ah!
Fuck, dude. Hey, you know what? She
Oh.
used the greatest weapon of all.
Yeah, fuck with a man's head.
Her,
He's like,
her brain. She used her brain.
she did. She did. It's like, you want to control women? Okay. No, I won't do it. You know, it was hilarious. I thought that was a really interesting contemporary spin on the whole sexist thing.
But I loved how, you know, it was, you know, she proved that, you know, she had her strength. She wasn't going to be dominated by, you know, by this fucker. She's like, nah, fuck this guy.
Yeah,
I'm Lily. Shit.
right. So for that, you know, yeah, definitely a strong character.
Yeah.
So let's go with the budget and the box office on this. So budget at the time was about $25 million, which is pretty high.
Right.
So that's about $73.3 million today. Box office 23.5, which is about 68.9 million.
Wow.
So it lost money. Now,
did.
by these numbers, you're looking at about $2 million loss. You got to factor in distribution, which was a lot more expensive back then until the digital revolution. Marketing. So you tack on another 5 million to that number. It lost a lot of money. It was a mega flop.
Apparently, fantasy movies weren't doing very well at the time.
No, surprising. And there was a high output. And we'll get to some of these in a bit.
Mhm.
You know, they kept coming out. Well, you know what? I think that was probably driven by the VHS, you know, home video market, because some of these films wouldn't do that well, but they would do well on the home video market. Now, let's get into some reviews on this, okay?
Okay.
Alrighty. So it didn't really receive a lot of good reviews. It was more mixed to negative. Roger Ebert said the movie was composed of all the right ingredients to be successful, but that the film simply didn't work. It had all the special effects in the world, all the great makeup, all the great Muppet creatures, but you know, all that, he said, just can't save a movie that has no clear idea of its own mission. And that's a no joy in its own accomplishment. So I kind of agree. The film did kind of seem a little aimless. It really would kind of scatter, not too far off, but it didn't seem centrally focused overall.
I mean, as a kid, I saw the mission. I mean, it was to save Lily, but ultimately to, you know, to save the other fucking unicorn.
That's it.
Yeah. What else do you want?
It was a bit thin. I mean, you look at what was going on in the Neverending Story.
Thin. We're talking about, you know, throwing the world off balance, you know, or even worse, throwing it into, you know, eternal darkness. That's pretty fucking deep, dude.
It was, I guess, but it was all right. But to me, what really, again, I'm gonna have to go back to Tom Cruise. He kind of brought the movie down a few notches for me. Mia Sara, again, my girlfriend, back in 1986. You know, Tim Curry in an amazing performance, and of course, you know, Ridley Scott's impeccable directing and his visual style. But the script was a little weak for me, and you know, but let's get the scores. IMDb 6.3, Metacritic 30, Rotten Tomatoes critic score 41%, with an audience score of 73. That would be you. Letterboxd, it's at 3.1 stars out of 5. So kind of tepid, not very hot with the critics. But you know, I don't think it's a horrible film. I don't think it was that bad. It was very entertaining, and I am a sucker for great visual effects. And you know, it had a decent story. A bit thin for my taste, but it was decent.
Right.
Sequels and spinoffs, there were none. Now, you know, there were multiple versions of this, including the European release, the American theatrical release, the TV version, the director's cut. Tom Cruise, he was reportedly, well, he wasn't happy with the American cut and encouraged the fans to watch the director's cut, which was with the Jerry Goldsmith score. Yeah, I prefer that one. I thought it was a lot better. Now, check this out. Now, contrary to popular belief, Legend did not inspire the game The Legend of Zelda.
It did not.
It did not.
You
This-
know what? I mean, and I was watching this with Tony, and I'm like, I'm watching the scene where Jack goes into the cave to get his armor, which the little sprite takes to him. That is so fucking Legend of Zelda.
Right. I mean, it has a lot of similarities. And in my opinion, I think it's highly unlikely that the creators of the game saw the movie because not many people saw the film. So I don't think so. Just a lot of coincidence. But yeah, you got, kind of concept of the costume design and so forth, the mission and all that. So the princess. But no, definitely not inspired by the game. Or the game wasn't
I
inspired.
was really expecting Una to say, "Hey, listen."
Oh God.
That's from the game.
Yeah.
Navi. But yeah, I am a geek. I'm sorry.
Geek.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, that is so fucking Legend of Zelda.
Right. Yeah, and but so now let's go into our ratings on this. I'll go first. It was beautifully shot. The practical effects were just amazing. Creature effects and so forth. But again, it was a little thin on the magic feel for me. Nonetheless, it was a fun film. It was a good fairy tale film, but not the best. So my score for this is going to be 7 out of 10 unicorns.
Okay, so I find that atrocious.
Hey, 7's not bad.
You're talking about that it wasn't fantasy enough because you're totally nagging at my Tangerine Dreams version.
That was a horrible score.
No, it was the perfect score. It encompassed everything that the movie was, which it was beautiful, it was graceful, it was magical. And then, it got dark when it was supposed to get dark. Overall, I love this movie. I was in love with Darkness. I thought he was just like the greatest character ever. I'm gonna give this 10 unicorns.
Oh shit. Oh.
10. Just to spite you. 10.
You know what? I would have given this a 9 point. I would have given this probably a 6 with the Tangerine score. But folks, listeners, you be the judge. Look it up on YouTube. Look at both sides. And you know what? I'm not wrong. You're not wrong.
You know what?
I'm not right. You're not.
We need to do a poll.
Yeah. You know what? Let's do that. We're gonna put up a poll very soon, shortly after the release of this episode, and we want your input. What do you think? And obviously, everyone is going to agree with me.
All right, whatever.
Now, like as we mentioned earlier, there was quite a lot of output of the fantasy adventure films in the 80s. You had, of course, these two gems, and I'm going to call it, I'll call Legend a gem. The Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, which was atrocious.
Whatever. Oh, The Princess Bride?
The Princess Bride, Willow, The Return to Oz. And a lot of these were very, very, very dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's interesting, again, because you even had movies like The Secret of Nim, which we covered in the previous episode.
That movie was, that was awesome.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking. It was dark. It was, rooted in a lot of real kind of elements and themes. So great stuff. But it's interesting. That's what we had as kids in the 80s.
Yep, that's what we grew up with.
Yeah, and it's a great stuff. But, we have to attribute this. I mean, the 80s saw an onslaught of fantasy adventure driven films of that not just encompass this type of style, but you had like Conan the Barbarian, Beastmaster, all these different films that were just Krull, which was a horrific film.
I still haven't seen that movie.
Oh God, it's bad. And so all these films, it was just a lot of them, and a lot of them weren't great. But there were a few really good ones that like the Dark Crystal and the Neverending Story.
Mhm.
And we will be covering Return to Oz soon.
Oh, I can't
So
wait for that one. Yeah, I love
yeah,
that
yeah,
movie.
yeah, that one is pretty cool. And but yeah, that was the and all this stuff, I believe and I know was inspired by one movie, and
Mm.
that was Star Wars in 1977.
Mhm.
Without Star Wars, I don't think we could have had any of this kind of stuff in the 80s. And even now, I mean, granted, you can say, well, the Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, they don't have nothing to do with like spaceships and stuff.
Mhm.
No, it's the concept of fantasy adventure, of
Mhm.
story, of, heroes,
Light
and which
versus darkness.
light versus, which are themes that I
Mhm.
personally believe that a lot of the current Star Wars garbage that's coming out now seem to miss. And a lot of fans, quote unquote, of Star Wars now, to them, Star Wars is not about these fantastical characters, and so they're about lightsaber battles. Oh, a green lightsaber, a red lightsaber. Oh, double sided. Oh, a triple sided one. Oh, one lightsaber goes in his ass. Oh, that's cool.
You
Yeah,
sound like Goofy.
you
Oh,
you you.
gosh. Gosh.
But they focus on the wrong things, and I think that these films, that's what they brought out, is that the fantastical, and the world of these worlds, it's just amazing. And it was a great era, even though a lot of these films weren't great, but they definitely challenged our imagination, and they were not condescending to kids as they, I think they did challenge us as kids to.
Oh, absolutely. They, like in Neverending Story, it's not like I never, not once felt that the movie was talking down to me at a
Right,
child's level. They did it in a way where a child could understand, but without talking down to them, which I
exactly.
loved. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, also, and it wasn't until I think the early 2000s that we had a nice revival of these type of films, and there was some good quality stuff. I mean, let's not get into the CGI versus practical. We'll put that aside for now,
Mhm.
because you had movies like The Bridge to Terabithia.
Ooh, oh
Yeah.
man, that movie right there. Jeez.
Yeah. Lord of the Rings, the Harry Potter series.
Oh
We
man.
had Narnia, the Chronicles of Narnia,
Hmm.
uh, where the wild things are, the Spiderwick Chronicles.
Like, yeah,
And
you know what? That's another movie was actually really, really good.
yeah, I've seen most of them, and they were great, and they did kind of take me back, um, in the themes and the feeling of these films from the 80s.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it is something that's kind of dead right now. We're out of that cycle, but it'll come back. I'm pretty sure.
I hope so. And in the meantime, you got these wonderful titles to check out.
Absolutely, and yeah, like we recommend, start at the core, at the root of these kind of films with the Dark Crystal, Labyrinth,
Mhm.
Labyrinth, Willow, the Return to Oz. These films we just talked about. Look back, and check these out. There's some really good stuff there. Not only for you as kids, or I mean, as teenagers or adults, but as children. It's great for
Mhm.
kids as well.
Oh
Really good
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All righty. So as we start winding this down, let's give a quick preview of what's coming up next week. So join us next week as we explore the world of the dead, but not dead, as we go into The Crow from 1994 and Death Becomes Her from 1992. Two really interesting films. They're very, very different films, but they have that one thing in common, which is really cool.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome. I can't wait for that.
Yes, yes, both really good films. So yeah, so let's see. Yeah, well, we hope you really enjoyed the show. We really do. We really want to thank you for listening and supporting us. And if you want to help, if you haven't done so already, please help support the podcast by giving us a nice 5-star review. Leave us a good review. Or another way you can help to support the podcast is simply to subscribe and/or follow us on Amazon, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Deezer, Audible, Boomplay, or wherever you get your podcast fix. And remember, by supporting us, we don't ask for any money. We make $0 off of this. We do this for the love of film and to be able to share this with everyone. So to help support us and get us out there to more ear holes, yeah, do so and recommend us to a friend. Also, please don't forget to drop by our Instagram page. We got a lot of cool stuff on there. Check us out on TikTok, our YouTube channel, where we release most of our regular episodes on as well. All these links, we got all kinds of cool stuff in there. Check it out. It's in our link tree in the show notes below. Make sure you click on that, check it out, explore, and enjoy. You can also contact us directly by email to thefilmjoepod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. Also, we haven't been doing listener questions recently, so you got questions? Shoot us a question. Challenge us.
Mhm.
Give us these tough questions. We love them. Please.
Absolutely.
Yes. Alrighty. So let's wind this down. So with that being said, I'm Joe.
I'm Daisy,
And this is the Film Joe Podcast.
where film talk happens.